Hello and welcome to Firearm Freedom. This is going to be another First Impressions video. In today's First Impressions video, we are taking a look at my Remington 1187 SBS. And quickly guys, before we get this video started, there are links down in the description for different ways that you can support everything that I do here on Firearm Freedom, from seeing more content and buying stuff with discount codes that gives me a few kickbacks. All of that stuff is greatly appreciated. And of course, YouTube is constantly shielding my videos from your eyes. So if you do want to make sure that this stuff is seen, make sure you hit that subscribe button and ring the bell. Also, every like and comment really does help defeat those algorithms, and I do appreciate it. Guys, it is rare on the channel that I get so excited about a new gun in the collection that not only do I bring it to the range, but I actually speed up the process enough that I film the tabletop video only a few days after that range trip. Normally, there's a line of guns and gear and products that have long been reviewed that need to have tabletops done, and a new gun just goes at the back of that line. But for this 1187, I had to make a little bit of an exception and just rush it right to the front of the line because, man, I am excited, spoiler alert, about this shotgun. And it is one of the few that are floating around in the wild. You don't see too many of these things anymore. This is the shotgun that I just recently made a live stream about and a few posts about getting an approved E-Form 4 on. That approval was in 77 days. I'm not going to go into the E-Form 4 process or anything like that because I have those posts and live streams about it. So if you guys are trying to figure out, hey, how to get an E-Form approved and all that good stuff, I have a whole live stream. It was the last video posted. Go ahead and check that out for all that information. This was not, originally, it did not begin its life as a firearm and then was made into a short barrel shotgun. This started its life actually as a police-issued 1187 Factory SBS. So on the more civilian side of things, this got retired into a law enforcement trade-in, and I had the opportunity to purchase this shotgun at a ridiculous price. In my time of working in the gun industry, I have had deals presented to me that I just simply could not turn down, and this was one of those deals. I was able to pick this shotgun up for less than $300, and if you guys know anything about these shotguns, that's a pretty good price. Now, I know a lot of people are hearing that, and even at that crazy price point, they're saying, man, that's a Remington shotgun, though. I wouldn't touch that even if somebody paid me to buy it. And I totally understand where you're coming from, because any more recent, just before bankruptcy, Remington products, I would never touch. I would not recommend buying that at whatever price point you could buy it at. However, this is an older Remington 1187, and older Remingtons are still phenomenal shotguns. That was when they were still making great stuff. We're talking pre-new owners and QC going out the door and everything like that. A lot of people don't realize that the 1187 shotguns were, for a very long time, some of the most reliable semi-automatic shotguns that you could purchase, hands down. There are pretty outrageous round counts that are out there on 1187s and some ridiculous reliability testing, and these shotguns for pretty much the better half of the 1900s were the go-to semi-automatic shotgun. And I have to say, I am seeing the exact same thing here. So I'm super, super excited with this. Happy to finally have it home. But I've made a few upgrades to this. The benefit of working at a gun shop that you're waiting on a Form 4 at is that I can kind of tinker with the shotgun every day, you know, here and there at work, and add things to it if I get something in the mail. And that's kind of nice to be able to do. It originally was not Cerakoted OD green as you see it here. I know a lot of people are probably freaking out, oh man, why did he Cerakote this really cool shotgun? The 1187s that we got into the gun shop that I work at were definitely a little bit rough. When you see a police trade-in shotgun, a lot of the time they were used for either less than lethal or they were carried a lot and shot a little, and that was pretty much the case with this 1187. But on the opposite side of the receiver, there was a lot of surface rust and patina starting, and ever so slightly there was a little bit of pitting starting, and I tried cleaning it off, I tried keeping it well oiled, but no matter what I did, that surface rust just started to creep back in because the finish was really a little bit gone. And unfortunately, these Remingtons with kind of like the matte bluing never really were known for being that great with corrosion resistance and things like that. So this had to get Cerakoted in order to increase the longevity of the shotgun, and I decided to go with a traditional mil-spec OD green. And honestly, I think that just looks awesome with the black furniture. I really wasn't sure how it was going to look with OD green. I don't really have anything else in the collection that's Cerakoted this color, only furniture that color and things like that. And I think it turned out great. It actually made the manufacturer's marking and the model and everything pop a little bit more. This was all crudded up and starting to corrode out, and that's not that great, especially for the longevity. But this shotgun comes from the factory with a really nice tritium bead front sight, and of course the tritium is long dead at this point. You guys probably won't be able to tell that too much there in the video. And these are basically XS big dot sights, so you have that more XS rear sight here with just the little notch, and you line it up kind of like the lollipop looking sight. And on a shotgun, that is not bad at all. Of course, this did not come with this GG&G enlarged charging handle. I added that after the fact, and honestly, I think that is a great upgrade. It just makes this a lot easier to hold on to when you're looking at reloads and other things like that. And the original charging handle that was on here was all right. It was very, very small, and it was really easy to just rip your hand right off of it accidentally because of how small it was. So having this enlarged charging handle is pretty freaking nice. It did come with this pistol grip stock, and the only downfall that I've noticed so far about the 1187 is stock compatibility. So if you're not familiar with the 1187 platform, it has a recoil, kind of like a rat tail recoil system that goes into the back of the stock. And there's one massive bolt that's back here that you use to tighten the whole system up on the stock to the receiver. The downfall is, since this is an older design, and since Remington kind of went bankrupt there and then started back up under a new name now more recently, there is just not a lot of furniture options for this. These pistol grip stocks were one of the only aftermarket stocks that I saw out there. You guys know, a lot of the time I'm not a huge fan of pistol grip stocks. I kind of like the more traditional stock on shotguns just for ultimate recoil mitigation and things like that. But because this pistol grip stock came on it and there's not a lot of options out there, this is going to stay for quite some time. The only thing I may change out on this is to go with a Boyd's walnut wood stock set, because I think that would look mint with this OD green furniture, kind of like a NOM era color scheme there, which I think would be pretty freaking cool. This stock did not have the QD socket on the end here. This is a little trick that I found out from the gunsmith at the shop that I work at, and it's a really, really handy thing to have. So on any standard like plastic hollow stock like this, I use these Impact Weapons System or Impact Weapon Solutions. I can never remember the name, but it's a small QD piece that is able to be drilled out, so you can just drill the hole there and then input this QD socket right in there. Now, this socket is not designed for that, but it works really damn well, and on this setup, it is perfect, because on this stock, the only other sling attachment point that you have is down at the bottom of the stock, a very old school and traditional way to mount a sling. But for any sort of like modern sling and things like that, or actually using your sling, this is just not happening at all. And I will say, overall, this stock is pretty freaking comfortable at the range. Unlike Mossbergs that have their tang safety here in the back of the receiver, which I absolutely love, the Remingtons have a push button safety. Now, the benefit of the push button safety over the Tang safety is that when you have to use a pistol grip stock like this, it is much easier to get to the safety button, whereas a Mossberg safety with a pistol grip is essentially impossible to get to while maintaining a firing grip. This safety, super easy to get to, no problems at all there. And of course, I'm running my favorite Blue Force Gear quickly adjustable 2-point sling. This one is multicam. I have a quick detach swivel in the rear, and in the front, I have the final accessory that I added on to this 1187, which is a GG&G 1187 pick rail and sling mount. So this thing is pretty cool. It's a great way to accessorize a shotgun without having to permanently modify it and also have it be super rigid. And these things are like dirt cheap. I feel like this was like less than $20, and it's a huge benefit to have on your shotgun. As you can see, your takedown section here, which is also a +1 on the magazine tube, actually just sandwiches this accessory right in between the handguard and that tube, and it has a small detent in there still, and it gives you a sling attachment point on the bottom and top of that piece, and it also gives you a pick rail, and this allows you to mount a flashlight. The flashlight I'm running here is a ProTac HL flashlight, and I just have that on the standard pick rail attachment there. When it comes to just overall comfort of actually getting to that light with your thumb, it is super, super, super easy to get to. And on top of that, it gets it out of the way, so if your hand slips forward, the light is not digging into your finger. On a shotgun, that is a huge concern because there's a lot of lights that will get it closer, but every time that shotgun recoils, your hand is just nailing into the light, and it's not comfortable at all. And I just have the front of my Vickers Blue Force Gear sling attached with an HK style clip, and that's a great way to attach this sling. I had no issues at all with this sling at the range. It works really, really well. As far as the shootability of this 1187 at the range, I had 0 malfunctions of any type, running mainly low brass target load birdshot, which I really wanted to try in this 1187 because semi-automatic shotguns are notoriously picky with either being only able to run high brass buckshot and slugs or only being able to run low brass, and it really just depends on how the gas system is tuned. This thing ran low brass birdshot just as good as it ran high brass buckshot. There were absolutely no issues, no reliability problems at all. God only knows how many rounds are actually through this shotgun. This thing has probably been there, done that, and it is still just a die-hard reliable shotgun. And as soon as I got this to the range, this was my first experience shooting an 1187, I was just blown away. Seriously, guys, I'm like in love with this shotgun. It just immediately became my favorite shotgun in the collection and just kind of a go-to defensive shotgun. With this short 14-inch barrel, you are still able to get 5 rounds of 2 3/4 inch in the magazine tube, +1 getting you 6 total. And quite frankly, that is pretty much the standard capacity a lot of the time of a full-size 18-inch shotgun. So being able to get that same capacity with a much more compact overall setup is great. With this, because it's a semi-automatic package, the recoil was pleasant. There was absolutely no issues shooting this thing at the range, which is why I loved it so much. Whether I was shooting buckshot or birdshot, the recoil mitigation system of this 1187 is phenomenal. It felt like I was shooting a standard, maybe a 308 rifle or something like that, but the recoil was very, very manageable for a shotgun with high brass loads, especially a shotgun with a 14-inch barrel. The trigger on the 1187, getting into the shootability, is pretty damn good, but it is easy to outrun. So that's just something to be aware of. There is definitely a little bit of a training curve with learning how to shoot a semi-automatic shotgun. So you have just an ever so slight amount of take up there, and at that take up you hit a crisp wall, little tiny bit of creep, and then your brake. As far as the reset, puts you right about there, right at the wall again, slight amount of creep, and the brake. But there is not a lot of travel in that trigger, and it is a pretty damn good trigger. Now, the downfall with that type of trigger mixed with this action is the action is a little bit slower in the way of semi-automatic shotguns. Now, I will take that all day long for a die-hard reliable shotgun. I don't really care that it's a little bit slower if it's running any ammo that I put through it. But it's something to be aware of if you are trying to run the trigger quickly. I learned a few times at the range without running the trigger that it's just something you got to kind of train with. It's something to work around and just understanding that shotgun. And I felt that at the end of the range day, I had no issues with the trigger at all. I'm sure in a lot of the back roll, you guys are noticing that the target that I was shooting at was just a piece of cardboard with no target on it. And that is because with the shotgun, a little bit of a pro tip, it's going to make a ginormous hole in the target downrange. And the way that I've kind of just gone with shotgun videos is just simply trying to get the shot through the same ginormous hole. So as long as I'm not making the hole any larger and I'm able to get that shot right on through, I'm counting that as a hit, and that's just kind of how I go. You're more than welcome to put a piece of paper on there, but the paper is going to get shredded with the wad in no time, so that's just kind of how you got to roll with shotguns, and that's how I roll with them at the range. As far as other accessories, I would love to add to this guy down the road. The only other thing that I want on here is a Mesa Tactical side saddle. I found out really quickly how much I was used to those side saddles when I went to reload this shotgun, and I'm pulling from other shotgun cards and things on my kit, and it just really was not working well. So having a side saddle of some type on here is a must, and they do make Remington options that will fit on this, which I am definitely going to go with. As far as reloading the shotgun as a whole, another learning curve for me, because I'm so used to Mossberg shotguns, was this loading gate here on the bottom. Now, this is also going to be how you send your bolt home. It is pushing up on this piece here. I know a lot of people get freaked out like they're going to get chomped on by the bolt, but you just push up and that is going to send the bolt home, and you do have to push up on that piece in order to get your shotgun shell in. Now, I don't know why, but every damn time I bring a shotgun to the range, it is like the most brutally cold range day, and that was the case here. It was about 18 degrees minus wind chill, and every time my gloves kept getting caught in this loading gate. So mix that with freezing hands and shotgun shells falling all over the place. This was definitely a learning curve. Once you start getting the hang of pushing the shotgun shell up on that piece first and then forward, it kind of guides the shotgun shell really nicely into the magazine tube. But that is definitely something to get used to, and it's a personal preference thing. Some people might prefer this over the Mossberg or the Mossberg over this. It really just depends. But overall, this thing at the range just shot incredibly well, and I absolutely fell in love with it. I just love everything about this shotgun, and I am very, very lucky to have been able to pick it up for such a great price point. That is pretty much going to wrap this first impressions video up on the Remington 1187 SBS. I'm sure I will be getting this thing back to the range soon, and I will probably have a few more updates down the road with this shotgun, so stay tuned for those videos. If you guys have any other questions about this shotgun or anything else on the channel, please feel free to throw them down below in the comment section, and I absolutely will get back to you. While you're down there, check out the links in the description, and as always, stay tuned for more great videos to come soon.